Back yet again.
Yes, yes.
After a week off, we are back. Big week, much to talk about, much to discuss. I do want to start off by thanking everybody, man, for hitting all of the social sites, watching all of the shorts, um, checking out all of the content that we have been sharing and creating. We appreciate you so very much. The growth that we have experienced over the past several weeks is not possible without the support of the fan base. So we thank you so much.
Indeed.
Of course, I am your host, Jason Flake, my co host, Lance Reynolds, aka the People's Champ.
What up, though?
Do not forget to hit the pages, hit the social sites, like, share, and subscribe. Please, man, get the word of mouth out there. Tell all your friends, your family, your neighbors who are sports fans, sports fanatics, sports enthusiasts to join the Everybody Has One family and encourage them to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification. And when you hit that bell notification, make sure you hit all so that you are notified every single time we post content on
Fool, you
any
better come on in.
on any of our sites. So much to discuss, man. As you know, we are a Detroit-based podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We are Lions, Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers fans.
Yep,
Michigan, Michigan State, of course,
yep.
to a lesser extent, University of Detroit, Mercy, Oakland University, all of our local
Little rough time.
universities. Um, but I want to lead off this podcast. Obviously, the big news around here is Frank Ragnow,
Yes.
multiple time All Pro interior offensive lineman, mainly our center here for the Lions, has announced his retirement at the age of 29. Multiple time All Pro, multiple time Pro Bowler. It's going to leave a large void in the middle of the offensive line. I will take your impressions of that decision, uh, and then I'll give you mine.
Let's see. My first thoughts. Oh shit.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, because I mean, one, it came out of nowhere.
It did.
And then, after I kind of took a minute to kind of take it in, then I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because um I think it just kind of compounds the question marks that the Lions have going into training camp.
Sure.
Um, we've talked about it, touched on it. New OC, new DC.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of guys either still on the mend
Mm-hmm.
or expected to come back from injury.
Sure.
McNeil, Hutch, God knows who, Rodrigo. I mean, pick a guy.
Yeah. Right.
But specifically focusing, on the line.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, our strong suit and we hung our hat on the interior line,
Yep.
both sides of the ball. And now it's like, man, you know, um, I don't know exactly where do we go to replace Frank.
Mm-hmm.
One, um, how that affects golf.
Yeah.
Um, Because I mean, to me, I thought Ragnar was like top four offensive player in terms of importance on our team.
Oh yeah.
Golf, Panay,
St. Brown.
yeah, and then Frank, and then Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you can kind of jumble that order up however
Yeah. I think.
you prefer. You know
Yep.
what I'm
Yep.
saying? But I think he was that important to what we do and the culture that we established with the um, Brian. Um, oh my goodness, Brad. I'm sorry,
Brad.
Brad Holmes
Brad
era.
Holmes. Yeah.
The culture that they tried to establish with the Brad Holmes era. Being tough inside, being able to run the ball,
Yeah.
and then again defensively, then the whole kneecap thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder coming into training camp, um, I guess what our identity will be.
Yeah.
You know, will it be? Of course, it won't look the same,
Right. Right.
but our how do they alter that? How do they curtail the offense?
Yeah.
Without without Frank. So, yeah, I mean, again, a year ago, that's where we were strongest. Now, a lot of question marks. Couple that with um, the schedule.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard some rumblings that maybe the fact that a lot of the outdoor games, may have played a factor in the decision making
Yeah.
that Ragnow had or considered with the retirement. But yeah, man, I just think how different this year, how different I feel going into this year than I did last year. So hopeful.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So hopeful. And then coming off a 15-2 season where it's like, are we happy with 10-7, 11-6? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and then of course I'll let you hammer on this. Um, but when do you think we're still the favorite to win the division?
Um. Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Okay.
Um. And I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach to it.
Mhm.
And it feels like over the last couple of years, Frank has been a lot more banged up,
Yeah, that's true.
but he started 15 and 16 games, over the past couple of years. And I felt like he missed more time than that. He's only missed 3 games over the past 2 seasons, but um, I guess my outlook is a little more optimistic than that.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, when you lose a multiple time All Pro and a high quality center,
Mhm.
particularly a center, because it's a very difficult position to play and to be good at.
Right.
you
True.
know, uh, that's no small thing.
Yeah. But to your point, the Lions have been blessed with good centers over the last 20 years, I would say.
That's true. Yeah, right. I mean, going back to Kevin Glover and
Dom.
yeah, Mike Compton. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we've had. You're right. I agree. I think we've had very good centers. Just on a to take a rabbit trail. But aside from that, I think Frank Glasgow was the one who filled in for him when
Mhm.
he was unable to play the last couple of years,
Yeah.
and he did so reasonably well, to my recollection. I know that we also drafted a interior offensive lineman, I think from
Yeah.
Georgia.
Correct.
So I guess my outlook is probably a little bit more optimistic than the average fan. I still think offensive line is our deepest position group.
Mhm.
We still are very well equipped at offensive line. Brad seems to draft an odd offensive lineman, every year, just randomly anyway. And so I think that we'll be fine uh, in the offensive line. I do think our depth will be impacted,
Yeah.
obviously, because one of those depth pieces will now have to come and fill
Yeah.
in at guard. But even the big guy who we talked about before, and his name is escaping me, that filled in at guard for Taylor Decker.
Oh, Jesus.
It'll come to me, but even he has played guard at times. Um, it'll come to me, but he's played guard at times and filled in very very
Yeah, and again, and to your
very
point,
well.
with deck chair,
Hmm.
I thought he might be the guy that announces
His
their
retirement.
retirement
Yeah.
this offseason.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I think that was the thing too. I'm like, well, damn, if one of the guys that we were going to lose this
Yeah.
offseason in retirement, why couldn't it have been him?
Yeah, because I think that eventually Panay moves to left tackle.
Yeah,
Because we gave him 112 million dollars, and that's not right tackle money.
right,
Like
right.
that's really left tackle money. So I think the inevitability is that when Decker retires, Panay moves over to left tackle, and we find ourselves a right tackle, or or the right tackle is already on the team, and we just sort of promote whomever to that right tackle spot. So Yeah, but no, but back to the topic at hand, which is Frank Ragnow. Frank will definitely be missed. There are some rumblings that maybe something about a contract or maybe a health issue popped up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's some rumblings about that because
I mean, yeah.
that because of the timing. They're saying uh, some people are saying he could have done it before the
Could have
draft.
did it in March, right?
Yeah, and it would have been more advantageous for the team. But I'm not going to speculate about what the timing is about, because he knows his health situation, and he has been banged up over the last couple of years. Even though, again, excuse me, he's only missed 3 games over the past couple of seasons, where it seems like it's been a lot more than that. But we'll monitor that situation through OTAs, obviously through training camp. We'll see how the offensive line depth chart, when that comes out, we'll see what that looks like, whether or not they do elevate Ragnow to that starting center position, which it seems like that would be the logical the logical move, because he filled in at that position over the last couple of years a few times anyway. So
Yeah. You think we're going to get a heavy dose of Dan Skipper?
Dan Skipper, that's who. Yeah, that's who. Yes, I think we could get, because he's filled in at guard before, and done so very well. Because I mean, Dan Skipper is he's a really good run blocker. He's a better run blocker, in my opinion, than a pass blocker, which would make him, a logical choice to move to guard if you're gonna move it's not Frank Rag now, but Graham Glasgow to center.
Hmm.
It would make sense that he would fill in then at guard, because he's a much better run blocker than pass blocker, in
Hmm.
my opinion, because he's so big and powerful. Even though he's a little tall for a guard, but he's very, very good at run blocking. So, um, we'll see. That's the situation because the offensive line situation has become that much more intriguing
Right.
by removing such a high quality interior offensive lineman from such an important position. So we'll obviously keep our eyes peeled on the Lions in that situation moving forward. But switching gears
Uh-huh.
to the NBA Finals, which um, start tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
The Indiana Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder, who we both predicted would be there when we predicted the conference finals. I picked Pacers in 5, OKC in 6. It ended up being OKC in 5 and Pacers in 6. But I'll take your impressions of the matchup. How do you feel? What do you feel the outcome will be? Who do you think will win? And do you have a finals MVP prediction?
Oh yeah. The NBA Finals, I think it will be a very competitive 5 game. I think
That's a little counterintuitive,
I
but
mean, but with the caveat, because again, here's my thinking behind it. Um, this young Thunder team finally getting to the finals,
hmm
and then the Indiana team and the propensity they have to make you pay if they keep the game close
yes,
late. So those are kind of the things that I'm wrestling with.
hmm
If the 68 win OKC Thunder show up against that Pacer team, I think it goes 5.
yeah,
If they play with their food and lollygag a little bit and fall asleep and play 44 minutes of Thunder basketball, not 48, it can go longer.
you mean if they look like the youngest team in basketball?
And as opposed to like the historically best defensive team in
Correct.
basketball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, that's kind of I'm dancing on that
Yeah,
same
that's where I'm at.
line,
Like I think it could easily be
yeah,
of a gentleman sweep, or
yeah, or a long
yeah,
series.
or and I think this that razor thin. I think for this series it would be appropriate to bring out the old ABA red, white, and blue basketballs because I think it's going to be a track meet.
I do too. Yeah,
Um, it's matchups all over the place. If
yeah,
you like watching matchups, Shea Halliburton,
hmm
Williams, Nimhard,
yeah,
um, Wallace, Naismith,
hmm
um, Chad Turner or
And Pascal
Hartenstein
Siakam.
Turner,
Yeah.
Siakam
Yeah.
Chad. I mean, um, Jay Will, and who's Matherin gonna start yapping with on
Right.
the other side?
Right.
You
Right.
probably Shea, if I had to guess, them
Yep.
both being Canadian national team players, you
Yep.
know. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of intriguing matchups. Both teams like to get up and down the floor. Both teams defend well on the
Yep.
perimeter.
Hmm.
I think the difference again for me is I just think that the Thunder have more bodies that they can throw at Tyrese Halliburton. I think
Yeah.
the Knicks just let Tyrese Halliburton get too comfortable in the games that he was able to just be just dominant. You know, with
Yeah.
no one like up in him. He was kind of able to just kind of sit back and delineate and dictate everything that was going on without, anyone being up in his chest. And I think, OKC with just a plethora of guys, even a guy like a Caruso,
Yeah.
that you could just throw in and say, man, just annoy the hell out of
Yep.
Tyrese Halliburton for 18 minutes. And then, we'll come back with Casey Wallace, for another 15 minutes. And
Yep.
then, I just think overture of that, could just eventually wear down on him. And the Pacers sometimes their shooting kind of disappears sometimes,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep.
As for MVP of the finals,
Yeah. Go ahead.
um, Shea.
Yeah.
I think Shea has to be.
Yeah.
I think he has to be in order for them to win. I think he has to be the best player in the series
Yep.
because if he can cut off the head of the snake, which is Tyrese Halliburton, just kind of at least just which I'm sure he will, just because I knock on Tyrese.
Yeah.
I just think Shea's that good offensively. He's just gonna make you work.
Yeah. I like a lot of that, a lot of what you said. I agree with a lot of what you said. Um, both of us said back in December that we thought OKC was the best team. And I do expect OKC to win the series, but I'm starting to feel like it could be a long series
Hmm.
though.
Okay.
And and the reason why is because when I look at the matchups,
Hmm.
the thing about Indiana that is a conundrum is that they don't depend on an individual player. And yes, you correctly pointed out that they have really excellent perimeter defenders that do a good job of taking away that one guy. But the problem is that Indiana doesn't hit you with one guy.
That's true.
They could have, like, if you look at the last series, for example, Neesmith hit like 6 or 7 threes in the fourth
In the
quarter
fourth
of game
quarter,
one.
yeah, yeah.
And then Pascal Siakam was the conference finals MVP.
Hmm.
So like while they do have Tyrese Halliburton, if you take Tyrese Halliburton away, that doesn't stop them still from putting up 115, 120 because somebody else is just going to come
Yeah.
and they'll score. Like so. I think that the fact that OKC is so young, I think that's going to leave a lot of openings
Hmm.
for the Pacers. That said, I still expect OKC to
Right.
win in 6 or 7 games, but I think that the Pacers are going to present some problems. I also the other aspect of the series that I think is a mismatch in favor of Indiana is coaching.
Coaching. I 100% agree with you there.
I think Rick Carlisle and his experience is something that is something that's not being talked about enough.
Right.
He's won a championship and he's had some deep runs in the playoffs, lots of them,
Yeah, for sure.
and he understands how to adjust in series. And he's got a team that has a lot of versatility and they run fast. And the one thing that you can do on a team that plays excellent defense is you can get the ball up fast before that defense is set. So it would not surprise me if Indiana won the first game
Okay.
and
Okay.
and put
Okay.
and put OKC on their heels.
Okay. Now that's different.
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard anybody drop that one.
it wouldn't
It
surprise
doesn't
me.
sound crazy.
Yeah, it wouldn't
It doesn't sound
surprise
crazy
me.
because, to your point, Carlisle's coaches smart basketball
Hmm.
teams, and to you, and to add, to the point about Halliburton, I think he is one of those players that can impact the game without scoring the
Scoring a lot,
ball a
yes.
lot,
I agree.
just because I just think you don't want him comfortable out there.
Correct. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you want him out there laughing.
Right.
Because when he's kind of like a Steph, when he's out there enjoying the moment,
Yeah.
you in trouble. He's
Yep.
probably in the midst of going off.
Yeah.
on you. So I think that they just kind of need to just make sure that he's just uncomfortable,
Yes.
as often as possible. But it, like, the last series, I think, what did Siakam have 2 or 3 30-point games?
Yeah.
In that last
Yeah.
series,
Yeah. He did. Yeah. I
or
think.
4?
Yeah.
What,
He had. He. Yeah.
was
He.
it 4 30-point? I think it
I,
was
I think it was 2, but he
something
played
like that. I'd have to look.
extremely well.
Yeah,
Though. And he was very consistent.
he was,
And that's
and
the
he's a
thing.
champion
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like he's been the second best player on the championship team.
for sure.
So they've got a lot of they have a lot in their favor. Um, I just think that ultimately OKC is a little too loaded. They have a little too much defense.
Mhm.
They have one too many perimeter defensive players, and they have too much scoring pop. Ultimately, I think that they will best Indiana. But the thing that Indiana has in their favor is the pace, no pun intended, that they play with excellent pace, and they are not a top heavy scoring team.
And another thing again that they play 48 minutes.
Hmm.
They play for
They
4.
do.
They do not let you off the hook.
They don't.
They do not, and
And
I respect that.
and they embody the cliche that no lead
Yes.
is safe.
Yes.
Just because you up 10 or 15 points with 2 or 3 minutes left does not mean that you can relax and
Right.
start and wave your white flag
Well,
and put in your subs.
kind of cruise and shit.
Yeah, no,
nah.
because they will start hitting threes. They will push the ball. They will extend the game on you, and they will end up stealing one. And as a matter of fact, we saw Denver do that to OKC in the semis.
Yeah.
We saw we saw OKC extend the game and then Denver steal it. So,
Right.
and again, so we saw some of that youth show up there in
Yes.
both the coaching and the players.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
I think it's good, but I think it's going to be a great matchup.
Speaking of Denver, real quick, what you think about them hiring Adelman's son as the head coach full time? You think that's a Jokic hire, or
I don't think very much of that at all. I gotta say, I'm not impressed with that move whatsoever. Listen, here's the thing, and that's a great question because that'll transition me into our next topic of Tom Thibodeau's firing.
that lob up there?
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was an alley oop. Um, so I'll contradict myself a little bit. I like young coaches being hired because I think a lot of times what we see with your favorite coach, Glenn Rivers, aka Doc, and guys like Thibodeau, I was trying to find the clip in the place where I said in our one of our shows back in December that I'm not a Tom Thibodeau guy.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I don't believe Tom Thibodeau is ever lifting any trophies, and the reason why is because when I journal, I'm a 45 guy. And what I mean by that is that I've developed my own philosophical idea that 45 is sort of the line of demarcation. And I mean 45 years of age, where beyond that age, but by the time you reach that age, you're not making any more sweeping changes in your personality.
Right.
sweeping philosophical, not that you can't experience a trauma that will necessitate a big change, where, somebody might have a heart attack at 45 that necessitates that they start exercising and change their diet, right?
Put the squares down.
Yeah, you see,
Yeah.
but you're not going to just do that at 45 if you don't have some kind of traumatic experience.
Gotcha.
Well, not that I'll go into my entire philosophy, but I'm just kind of a 45 years of age guy. And then it's very, very difficult to make those type of sweeping changes without something traumatic happening to you.
Right.
And so in that respect, I like younger coaches.
Okay.
Because I look at a Tom Thibodeau and you just know he's not going to change his philosophies. He's not going to play a 9-man rotation. He's just not going to do that.
Yeah.
And because of that, his starters play 700 more minutes than anybody else's starters in the playoffs. And by the end, they're worn down. That's just what's going to happen. That has happened to him for his entire coaching tenure.
Yeah.
If somebody else hires him, it's going to happen again because he's not going to change. It's the same thing with Doc Rivers. The same reason we can basically write the Doc Rivers script every single season. They're going to have a decent regular season, and then when they get to the playoffs, they're going to have the same problems over and over again, the same weird rotations, the same inconsistency. Nobody's blown more 3-1 leads than Doc Rivers. You can look that up. That's a truism. And there's a reason why. When you start to see the same pattern of failure over and over and over again, this is not me picking on Doc Rivers.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Who did Tom Thibodeau get his bones coaching up under?
Was it Glenn Rivers?
I believe it was Glenn Rivers.
and
what a coincidence we have here.
And this is the thing. So when you see,
it's a vein of ineptitude.
Yes, when you see the same pattern of failure repeatedly, and guys are of a certain age, you just know that, and I'm not saying that Tom Thibodeau doesn't have anything to contribute.
No.
He's just not a head coach that's going to get you over the hump. And the same thing with Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers got his one championship in 2008. He might be able to help a team as a consultant or an assistant coach, but Doc Rivers has lifted his last trophy. And the same with Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau's not lifting any trophies as a head coach. And I think that the New York Knicks understood that, which is why they fired him. I'm fully in favor of that. Now, who the New York Knicks are going to hire, whether or not James Dolan is a competent owner, and whether or not the New York Knicks have a competent front office,
they're not,
is anybody's guess. They ain't my team. So yes, I tend to agree with that based upon what we've seen. But
the Knicks, bro.
But to circle back to your original question, I don't think very much of them hiring Adelman full time at all, because I just don't know that I saw enough from him to warrant him being hired on full time. When he took over, and then I'll defer to you once I make this final point.
No, come on, brother. It's all good.
They were the 3rd seed, I believe, when they fired Mike Malone.
True.
They ended up the 6th seed. I'm not impressed with that. And I understand that it was a tight Western Conference race. I understand all of that. But sliding 3 positions and advancing 1 round in the playoffs, that doesn't get you anything as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It doesn't get you anything. Or did they slide to 7?
I think.
Yeah, they slid to 7 because Minnesota was 6. They beat the
Minnesota
Lakers.
was 6. Yeah,
they slid to 7, so they were the 3rd seed, I believe, when he took over, and they slid to 7, and then they won 1 round of the playoffs. That's cool, you know what I'm saying? Like that's all right. Or no, they slid to 5. They slid to 5 because they was
because Golden State slid to 7 because Golden State ended up playing Houston.
Correct, yeah, because they was in the play-in. So I'm sorry. So they slid it. So you started at 3, you slid to 5, you won 1 round of the playoffs, which is fine. But in my opinion, that doesn't really get you anything for me. And yes, okay, you took OKC to 7 games. OKC is probably going. They're my pick to win the championship. But I didn't really see a whole heck of a lot from him,
right,
to warrant him being hired as the full-time head coach. Now, again, I could come back. This could come back to bite me. I could be wrong about him. He might be an incredible head coach going forward. I didn't see anything that said to me that he's the next Steve Kerr.
Yeah, man. I mean, I appreciate your brilliance because I promise you, as soon as I saw Adelman's kid, I was like, next. I'm positive this dude's gonna come up short when it matters, just like Pops. Like we're moving right along here. Now, as for the New York Knicks, I mean, the New York Knicks, I think the biggest thing, but I don't want to rehash too much of what you broke down about Tom Thibodeau because I mean, if you've been watching basketball long enough, Tom Thibodeau teams have a point where they just kind of crest.
That's right.
And then that's just it.
That's it.
They'll play hard for him.
Mm-hmm.
He will get young players to play hard.
Sure.
And then that'll be it.
That'll be it.
And I think the biggest mistake that the Knicks did was that they panicked. And as opposed to just waiting on Mitchell Robinson to get healthy,
mm-hmm.
and keeping Dante DiVincenzo to guard point guards.
Sure.
Since your starting point guard refuses to,
mm-hmm.
or is too injured to, whichever one you want to, lean on. I think that team last year was actually a better team.
Yeah.
I think defensively they were much better.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're in a position where you've given up all of these picks for Mikal Bridges, all of these picks for Karl Anthony Towns.
Yep.
And you've got half of the locker room saying that our two best players are our two worst defenders. And the father of one of our best players, half the team doesn't want him on the bench coaching the team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's typical New York Knicks madness. Amidst all of this, you'll still have a large portion of their fans believing next year will be their year. It won't. But, that was my main thing with the Knicks as I watched that series. It was like, okay, when is the bottom going to fall out?
Yep.
And then, I thought probably game 4, I was like, yeah, Tibbs is going to get fired.
Yeah.
And, again, and just, just reflecting on it, the problem was because the games they won, Mitchell Robinson making a difference on defense. It's just like, dude, the answer's here. Now, I don't know if it was because Mitchell Robinson's health didn't allow him to play extended minutes. You know what I mean? But, that was the key. But, the Knicks will be at the middle of the Eastern Conference, middling around as normal next year. And, we're moving on.
Yep. And also, let me make this one point because I like that you brought up Mitchell Robinson. Beware of coaches who don't like to develop drafted talent. The only player that was drafted by the New York Knicks that was in their rotation, Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
They traded away everybody else. They got rid of everybody else.
Oh, yeah. Quickly.
Yeah. All of them.
That's a player.
RJ Barrett. Yeah, I mean, a bunch of them. Yeah. Obi Toppin, who's with the Pacers.
Playing for a chip.
Yeah. They get rid of
Hardenstein.
All
playing for a championship. Oh, God.
All of the drafted talent they get rid of. You cannot think of a team.
Well, I think they got Hardenstein through a trade from Denver, but yet still he was a young player when he came into that organization and got his bag up.
Yes.
In a Knicks uniform. So
and the thing is that, and I brought this up before, you have to have drafted talent.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to the Lakers. When they won in 2020, their third best player was Kyle Kuzma, who was drafted by them. Since they got rid of him, they ain't sniffed the championship. You got to have a drafted player somewhere of importance.
Bro, Bronny going to give you heavy minutes next year. Get ready.
Stop it. You got to have a drafted player in the rotation if you want to win a championship. You cannot think of a team over the past 2.5 decades, probably over the past 4 decades, who did not have a drafted player in the rotation heavily. It's mandatory. So be careful of coaches who don't want any drafted players in their rotation. They want to get rid of all of them. Because even with our going to work Pistons in '04, uh in '03,
Tayshaun.
Rick Carlisle like Michael Curry. They wouldn't even put Tayshaun. It took for us to put Tayshaun into the rotation
Yep.
in order for us to get over the hump.
Yep. The
You got
Orlando Magic.
Yep, we was down 3-1. Your
Yep.
boy Glenn Rivers
Yep.
was the
Old
coach.
Glenn.
Was the
T
coach.
Mac. T Mac is finally gonna feel good to get out the first round.
Yeah. Glenn Rivers blowing a 3-1 lead. Thanks, Glenn.
Glenn gone Glenn.
But yes, you must have drafted talent, and that's another reason why Tom Thibodeau ain't lifted any trophies, man.
Now the last trophy he lifted was with Glenn.
Yep, that's it. But at any rate, man, there's so much to get to. Let's talk about your boy. Let's talk about your boy Zion, man.
Oh Lord, Zion
And his saga. I don't know what's going on with him and this young lady, and I use the term lady loosely, but this young lady is making claims that he did something to her, assaulted her in some way. I have no idea about the veracity of her story, so I'm not going to repeat too many of her accusations here on Everybody Has One.
Right.
but what's going on with Zion, man? It seems like Zion is doing everything but playing basketball, man. He spending more time with extracurricular activities and less time getting healthy to get back on the basketball court.
I mean, dude, this brother here is trying to like mess around and play himself out of the league.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, right. It's too many stories like this.
Dude, once you start crossing into putting your hands on women, allegedly,
Right, yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna
um,
repeat too many of those accusations.
the
'Cause I don't
R
know.
word, allegedly,
Yeah, right.
you can ask OJ Mayo where Booger Sugar get you in the
Yep.
NBA.
Yep.
I mean, he's serving a lifetime ban right now. So,
Hmm.
I mean, will these allegations and these stories lead to them now starting to like random dropping,
Yeah.
Zion, if I mean, it's just bad, man. And again, this is another scenario where it's like, dude, 5 years ago, it's just like this dude had the world at his feet, man.
Yeah.
This is a kid that's got a chance. Even, I mean, I don't know if it's gone, but looking back, coming out of Duke, this was a kid that was supposed to make $1 billion playing basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already probably at a quarter,
Yeah.
but I mean, he was supposed to be like the next $1 billion basketball player. And now, man, if this goes bad,
Yeah.
I mean, he could be out of a job.
Yeah. I mean, it's reported that I did read something that this young lady had
So she got receipts.
well, it says she went to Tony Busby though
Oh Lord.
to file the suit, and he declined.
Okay.
So if he declined, it must not be that strong
Yeah,
of a
if Tony Busby declined, that means he can't
Yeah.
get a nickel out of it.
Yes, I did read. I don't know how
Yeah,
strong.
because it's a we don't want to straddle that victim shaming
Correct.
line. You know what
Correct.
I'm saying?
I don't. I read that somewhere.
Right.
I read that somewhere. Again, I don't want to question the veracity of anybody's story because I don't know who did what to who and when.
But do understand the reason why the veracity of your stories being questioned, Mariah, is because you live a very salacious lifestyle and you actually work in a pretty skanky profession.
Hey man, listen. You said it, and I'll leave it there. Let's see. You know what, man? Let's touch on a little bit of boxing, man. I saw that Devin Haney and Tiafimo are going to fight in August.
Are they?
Is it?
I mean, it was like as soon as it was announced that Tiafimo pulled out, but I don't know if that was like confirmed as a rumor
man.
or because I mean, with Tiafimo, you never know where his head is at
Yeah,
on a whim. But I did remember when we were talking about the topics, I'm like, hey, looks like we got
yeah.
Tiafimo Haney in August, and then like maybe an hour after that,
It looked
it
up
looked
in
like
there.
someone from Tiafimo's camp is like, Tiafimo is withdrawing from the fight. Thank
Okay,
you,
well, let's.
everyone, for you. I said, man, are you
The beauty
kidding
of
me, dude?
technology, man. We can check it in real time. Let's see.
I'm like, are you serious?
Let's see. They were scheduled to fight, but the fight is falling apart. Okay. So breaking
Tiafimo
news.
once again. Oh man.
Breaking news. Okay, so that fight is
Tiafimo
falling
Lopez
apart.
back to pump faking. So here
Come
we
on,
go.
Tiafimo,
I'm off
man.
this dude, man.
Yeah.
I'm so off him anyway. Yeah, I mean, and I mean,
I tried to break up the tragic male figures
right, but
with some boxing.
But here's a tragic
here's
male
another
figure
tragic
in
male
boxing.
figure.
Oh God, this boy.
Because I was because I'm gonna move on to Travis Hunter. And
is this a tragic figure in the
yeah,
making?
I was gonna say, man, like I'm trying to. I don't want to denigrate. I'm trying not to denigrate all our men. Hey, listen, man. Listen. Let me say, man. Travis, not tragic Hunter. Man, that's a Freudian slip. Travis Hunter. First of all, congratulations, man. You got married. I heard to the young lady. And everybody, man, I can't even get it out. Congratulations on your nuptials. As somebody who got married young myself, whenever I see another young man getting married, I always have mixed feelings. And of course, a lot of his story is already public, and we have seen a lot of questionable things from the young lady. A lot of the things that she has said are questionable. If he was my son, I would have definitely chopped it up with him about what he was doing and why he was doing it and how he could protect himself. But there was obviously, supposedly, there's no prenuptial agreement, reportedly. So, listen, man, it looks interesting to me from my perspective. I'm trying to be very diplomatic about it because when you're young, because I think what is he 21? I think he's 21.
Yeah, I believe so.
When you're 21, you think you know a lot.
You do. And he's rich.
Yeah. And it's not until you look back at being 21 that you realize how little you knew at 21. But it's very hard to tell a 21-year-old that, hey, man, you don't really know as much as you think you do. But, I'm hoping for the best for the young man. I'm hoping that things go his way. I feel like, you know, I feel like he's going to have some experiences coming up, as a newly rich individual that may present some challenges for him in his marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping that he's able to navigate those things. I'm hoping that now that his dad is, been released from prison and is able to be back in his life, I'm hoping that he's able to guide him.
It's a lot in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that some of that might have been missing. And and again, I don't want to cast aspersions on the young man. I don't know his situation. I don't want to pretend like I know him.
Right.
But I'm just I worry when I see a young man, who may have been separated from his pops for a few years and in some very, very important years in there.
Right.
So and then you see a lot of weird stories about, how he may have been treated by this young woman. So again, man, I'm not you know, again, I'm trying to be as you know, and everybody has one. We try to be a little bit more diplomatic because I don't really want to go in on them because that's happening enough all on the internet and all over the place. So I'm wishing the best for him. But I'll let you go ahead and give your opinion about it, man, and how you feel about
Travis, what the hell are you doing, man?
it.
What is this? This is a failure of everybody in this man's circle. We sitting here watching this happen. Like, this is terrible. Like, what's the over-under? I'm setting it at 2.5 years.
Yep.
I think she's gonna let the money pile up a little bit, and then when she goes in for the kill, 2.5 years is a nice number.
Oh, she finna have a baby.
Yeah, that's a nice
Yeah.
number. She can show
She
up
gonna
at
have
she can
at
show
least
up in
one.
divorce court with a toddler freshly teething, and you know it'll look nice and good. Man, dude, she is setting you up. She is setting you up, and she's been setting you up. Travis, it's okay, man. It's never too late to make it right. Never. Listen, bro, we get it. You were always a good athlete. You probably weren't always popular with the ladies. And then the one time, the one chick that you wanted to get, you got, and it blew your head off. I get it, man. But listen, this ain't what you want to do. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. It's not too late to get a prenup, my brother. You've only been married, what, a month?
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Less than.
Yeah, less than a month. Don't do this. I promise you, man, you are not going to like yourself after this goes bad. She's going to leave you. She's going to take all of your money. You're going to be playing football for virtually free in the prime of your career because she's going to be gone. And if she stays, she's probably staying because you will be simping. Oh, I promise you. Oh, come on, man.
That's the other side of the game.
Yeah, I mean, like I've seen this before. We've seen
Oh,
this
yeah,
before.
listen, man.
We've seen this. It doesn't have to be on the football field. We've seen this with the homies. We've seen this at our job. Travis,
Ladies and gentlemen,
Travis,
this is why he's the people's champ.
Travis. And I mean, Travis is phenomenal. Did you see the play he made at practice yesterday?
No, but he's
my
a terrific young player. He's going to
And
yeah.
he's in that situation where he's counteracting all advice with just deeper defiance.
Yeah.
And
Because again, he's 21, man. You can't tell him nothing.
man, I've seen this happen.
Yes.
Man. And you notice who wasn't at Travis's wedding?
Deion. Yeah.
You would think that all that Deion Sanders and Travis have been through, Deion would have officiated that wedding.
Yeah.
So to think that he was as far away as from the East is from the West, the day that his prize player that put his coaching career on the map is not at his wedding, should tell you everything you need to know. A man who has practiced forgiveness for the latter part of 20 years wanted no part of that bullshit.
And Shador was there in some chill clothes.
Because Shador was there taking over under bet.
Right.
Like, man, I got 18 months.
Oh man.
She sent me a video last night. No, Shador didn't say that. I'm just saying. But I mean, nothing about this looks good, man. And like I said, we don't know Travis. We don't know the young lady. I'm just going off things that I've seen, and based off what I've seen, man, this dude is bound to drizzle with this chick, man. And it's gonna be sad to see when it all unfolds, man. But on the field, I hope he performs and shows out, because that's pretty much all I'm concerned with. And then when all the stuff happens off the field, you know, I'll just talk about that too, because I told you so.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. Listen, I'm wishing the young brother the best, but yeah, I mean, everything.
Damn fool. Always showing his teeth every 5 minutes too, man. Like, you can't be this happy being taken to the cleaners like this, man. You can't be. That's what got my antennas up. I'm like, see, this is the dude. This is the first chick that he put the tracers on. It was like, I want her, and she was like that. And he's like, yup, this is all I need.
But she said at first he wasn't her type, though.
I know, but it don't matter. He wanted her. You know, when you want something, it don't matter. You willing to see through all of that.
But you know what she said? She said he accompanied her to a birthday dinner
and waited out in the car. Or
No. He accompanied her to a birthday dinner, and then after that, he was her type. So you know what happened?
Certified simp shit.
Somebody at the birthday dinner was like, "No, that's not just some dude from the
Yeah.
corner named Travis
Yeah,
Hunter.
you know who that is.
That's Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter. You better get your hooks into him." But
And she was like, what's his name? Then, she probably went to Instagram or
Yup.
ESPN.com.
and saw who he was, and then they was locked in. But
And then,
I don't
then
know,
all of a
man.
sudden she was like, yeah, he all right.
Right.
Travis.
All of a sudden,
Travis.
his face had character after
Now,
that.
mind you, Travis, we're not actively rooting for you to lose.
Nah, you my man.
I'm warning you about what's incoming, my man.
Yeah.
This is not going to go the way that you see it happening, dog. Oh, Lord.
But speaking of Shador, man, let's transition.
He's just always smiling all the time.
Because I got two more of these topics, man. I really want to hit.
Okay, man.
Shador fourth on the depth chart still.
Mm-hmm.
That the lawsuit is also progressing.
John Doe, my man.
My man. I believe that those two things are linked. I believe that they're punishing him because of that lawsuit, even though John Doe filed the lawsuit. Because there's no way he's the fourth best quarterback. With Joe Flacco on the team.
Dude, they said
I don't believe it.
That Dillon Gabriel isn't a pro quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was just reading, it was a Cleveland Browns reporter for The Athletic.
Yeah.
I don't have his name, but he was like, dude, Dillon Gabriel's not even a pro quarterback.
Yeah. I mean,
no.
Yeah, I don't believe that
and they said that
Shador is not the best quarterback in camp.
Yeah, they said that Pickett and Flacco are competing for the starting job at camp just because they bought them in there to compete for the starting job. But they say Gabriel is just, they said, dude, it's not even like a conversation.
Yeah.
And, Shador, we, like you say, we know the two are probably linked, but I swear to God, I want to know who John Doe is.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm staying on the John Doe case. And there haven't been any developments. The only thing they're saying is that the case continues to progress.
I think we're the only people talking about this John Doe case.
Listen, man, and I'm on it. Listen, I'm on that. I'm looking for updates. I got an alert. I have an alert on that case. Every time, right? Every time there is progress on that case, I will know. So believe you me, I am on the case, literally and figuratively.
So before we hop off the Shador topic, so do you think by the end of training camp he's 2 or 3 in the depth chart, or after the preseason?
I expect that if it is a true meritocracy, he should be the starting quarterback by the end of training camp.
Okay.
And a true meritocracy.
I agree. I agree with you.
I don't believe that Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, or Gabriel is better than him from a skill standpoint.
I think the only one that thinks they are is Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I mean, but he 100 years old.
Happy to be there.
He our age.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got a seat for Joe Flacco on the podcast.
Yeah,
bro.
Come on, Joe.
Yeah, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like Joe he ready for a pension. And then, the other one that intrigued me is the Sugar Ray Leonard comment, because I actually saw that not too long ago about his era versus Floyd Mayweather. And as we go over the summer, and shout out to my brother Jay Black, who hates all this.
Yes.
But we will do lists over the summer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just no sports going around.
Yeah. So, when we have when the slow summer months, we will make our lists. But
will we be doing call-ins by then?
Man, I would like to get some call-ins going, because I would like to hear what people have to say. Everybody has one family, so this is everybody has one, not just Jason and Lance have one, but so we'll keep everybody posted. But I found that interesting.
Mhm.
Um, I'll take your thoughts, man. Floyd Mayweather versus the gauntlet that was the welterweight, super welterweight division of that late 80s, early 90s um, era. What do you think? You think Floyd is still undefeated? You think Floyd takes a loss in there?
Oh, does he take a loss?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So we agree.
yeah, for sure.
Now, here's the caveat. I believe that Floyd Mayweather is the greatest welterweight of all time. I will take Floyd Mayweather against any welterweight, any single welterweight. I believe he beats any single welterweight in a single fight in history. Sugar Ray, Hagler, Hearns, any of them. That gauntlet, I believe he loses one.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there was just too many good welterweights then. I don't think anybody's coming out of that, and none of them did. I don't think anybody's coming out of that without a loss because there was so many.
I
good,
know who should have.
Oh, you talking about Hagler?
Yeah, I know who.
Yeah.
I know
Listen,
who certainly should have.
Let me tell you something, Doug. Marvin Hagler
The perfect fighter.
had. I don't know if he was the perfect fighter.
I mean,
but this dude
I'll
had
explain why.
the illest chin
Yes,
in the history
yes,
of boxing.
yes. Granted,
John the
calcified.
Beast Mugabe hit that man with everything but a baseball bat.
Yes.
And Marvin Hagler stood there unfazed and ended up knocking him out. Same thing with Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns hit Marvin Hagler with everything
Man.
but the butt of a 45, and Marvin Hagler took it all. That man had the chin. I don't know what his chin was made out of. The only way Sugar Ray Leonard beat him was by staying away. Sugar Ray would not get into a slugfest with him.
And the three people in front.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
That's how Sugar Ray won that fight.
yeah, well, yeah, the judges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the three people in front.
But no, Sugar Ray fought him intelligently though. He did not get into a brawl. He stayed away.
He fought a good
He
fight.
stuck and moved, and he flurried at the end of every round.
Yeah, but that was soft cake
It
stuff,
was,
man.
it was.
Like, oh,
but it was the only
oh,
you
still
wasn't
remember that.
beating. You
Man.
wasn't
Man,
about
that
to
was-
beat on Marvin Hagler though. That was not happening. Marvin Hagler, everybody that went in there thinking that they was gonna hurt him or knock
Nah,
him
bro.
out, ended up going out on a stretcher, bro.
Marvin Hagler at his size, to me,
Yeah.
and when I say perfect fighter, there's more skill. Fighters may have more speed. Fighters may have better combinations, better
But
footwork.
I know what you're saying.
But I'm talking about in terms of, like you say, chin.
If you can't hurt
will,
him,
power.
yeah.
I mean,
if
and
he
again,
can walk through
and
anything you're
and
doing,
again,
that's
he-
a problem.
And again, he walked away from the sport because he felt that he really honestly felt the only way Sugar Ray could beat him is if the judge helped.
Yeah.
And if he ran. So he
and Sugar Ray ran. Like, make no mistake, I agree with you. Sugar Ray stuck and moved and ran up out of there.
But like you say, to Floyd, I don't want to be the guy to kind of discredit what Floyd have accomplished.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think Floyd is a lot. I think Floyd's career is a lot in that space of where like that peak Roy Jones
Mhm.
space was.
Yeah.
But just with a longer
Yeah.
serving
Yeah.
of it. They just were simply better than everybody else in their weight class at the time.
Yeah.
Whereas, in that era, late 70s to the, mid 80s with Duran, Hagler, Hearns,
Yep.
Chavez, Camacho, like all
Pernell Whitaker,
Sweet Pea, all of those guys. It was just so many different,
a lot of great styles.
Exactly. So that's where, it's kind of like, it wouldn't be a knock on Floyd to say that you would
Yeah, he's
know,
going to take one in there.
because like, I mean, I have a difficult time seeing Floyd Mayweather beat a peak Tommy Hearns, just because Tommy Hearns was so much long. I mean, Tommy Hearns is like, he's like damn near 7 inches taller than Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, he was very long. Yeah,
Like, because Tommy's like, he's 6'1", but he's like that 6'1" that's closer to 6'2".
yeah,
Like, he's a tall guy.
yeah,
And Floyd's like 5'8" on a good morning.
yeah, yeah. Floyd's is small. Yeah,
And like to
maybe more like 5'7".
and to see, I mean, I would be interested to see what he would do to kind of get around the reach and the power.
Yeah,
You know, that's difficult for me to see, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's what makes the great ones great.
Yeah.
They make you see what you never thought you would see them do.
Right.
So like for example, when I make those comments, I play back the Bud Crawford Earl Spence fight.
hmm
I never thought another fighter would make Earl Spence look like he never boxed for more
Right.
than 6 months.
Right.
You,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, great fighters have the ability to make other great fighters look like shit. So,
Right. Yeah, that's true.
that's where I kind of struggle with it, because all of these guys were so great, and then with that one era, they all fought each other.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
And it
yeah.
was such a variable of outcomes between them.
And more frequently
Yeah,
they fought. Floyd had the ability, particularly as he came down the stretch of his career, to only fight once a year. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that's why I said I think that if he had to run that gauntlet in the same manner in which they did, because of the variation in styles, sizes,
right. Yeah,
it's likely that somebody's going to catch you on an off night and beat you.
because this may be a a super hot take, but I believe Floyd Mayweather fights Oscar De La Hoya 5 years earlier, that outcome's different.
Could be.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it could
because
be.
I don't know what happened. I mean, I guess Oscar kind of documented what happened, where he just kind of flew off the rails. But I mean, there was a certain time where he was the most dangerous man in that weight class,
Yeah.
man, and he could kind of mix it up and give it to you however you liked it. Super explosive, liked to mix it up, had heart. I mean, Oscar was tough, and
Yeah.
the Oscar that Floyd fought was not the golden boy. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? But again, I don't like to say that Floyd, didn't necessarily fight anybody.
Yeah.
Either.
Well, I
You
mean,
know what I'm
what
saying?
I think, it's interesting because I think that's what happens with greatness.
Mhm.
Much like we talk about Michael Jordan. You know what the young kids say, that he played in a plumber's era. See, that's what happens with greatness, though. It's
Right.
always like, man, them other people just wasn't good.
Right.
No, they was great. It's just that dominance tends to be weaponized.
Yep. Mhm.
When somebody is so dominant, it tends to diminish the competition. It start to make the competition look like, no, it must be something wrong with the competition
Right.
if this guy looks so dominant against it. No, the NBA has always been the NBA. It was just one guy who was so good that it made everybody else look like they were standing in quicksand.
Right.
And I think that to a lesser extent, because boxing is different.
Mm.
And again, I already conceded. I think that if Floyd had to go through the gauntlet because of the litany of styles, sizes,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
the frequency of
Say
fights.
like he had to go through like all 4 of those guys in a 6-year span.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Like it's going to be and fight, the Meldrick Taylors.
Right,
And
right,
he had to
right.
fight guys in between.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
You're going to get, there's just too great a variation of style and the frequency of fighting.
Virgil Hill.
Yeah,
in
and
between.
that's what I'm saying. And Iran Barkley.
Right.
I mean, there was good
Yes,
second and third
yeah,
tier
yeah,
fighters
yes, for
that
sure.
you had to deal with in between And then the wear and tear, like he didn't have wear and tear because he was able to pick and choose his schedule, how frequently he fought, where he fought. He only fought at the MGM Garden Arena.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't have to go to Detroit and he didn't have to
Right.
go to Philadelphia. He didn't have to do any of that because he was holding all of the cards. So, that's why I said, I'm like, I think if you put him back in that era, while I still think he would be the best welterweight that I've ever seen, he would definitely probably get caught
Right. Yeah.
because the circumstances that he was able to use in his era,
Yeah.
those circumstances would not exist in a previous era.
Yeah.
But I think that in an individual fight against any other welterweight in history, not named Sugar Ray Robinson,
Yeah.
I'm taking Floyd Mayweather because,
Okay.
in an individual fight, I think that Floyd Mayweather presents the most problems because of his defense. I mean, statistically, in the history of boxing, he has one of the lowest connect percent. He used to have the lowest connect percentage against, I think now it's
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson, and then he has the highest connect percentage in the history of boxing. So
Yeah.
he's the most accurate puncher in the
Right.
history of boxing. So, even though he didn't hit with a lot of power, he connected a lot, and then he got hit very infrequently.
Which
So
says a lot
Yeah.
about the mastery that's happening inside of the ring.
Correct.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
He's controlling the dance,
yeah,
folks.
most definitely, most definitely.
But again, I thought it was such a good topic because again,
yeah, it's excellent.
you
topic,
don't
though.
want to you don't want to, like you say, take Floyd's dominance for granted.
Correct. Yeah, like
You know what I mean? Like I didn't, when I saw that comment, I was thinking like, I hope people don't look at that like, aha, see, got you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Like, look, dig in on that one.
Yeah, no,
You know
that's
what I'm
it's
saying?
it's really a great conversation, and I think it's one that really we could probably do an entire show on, really, because
I would like
there's
to
a lot of
eventually,
meat on the bone.
pair some film up of these guys.
Yeah, man, no, yeah, I would too. I
You
would
know,
like to really
put
have
their
it in depth.
strengths up against their strengths and their weaknesses up against their weaknesses,
Yeah.
and kind of take it from there. That
Yeah, because
something to do.
it's we're big boxing fans on this show, but we'll go ahead and end on that note, man. It's great conversation, great show.
Oh, one last
ahead.
thing.
Go ahead.
Not sports related, but
Go ahead.
one of the friends of the program,
Mhm.
this Sunday,
Yep.
for all our local people, um,
Oh yeah.
our
Gee.
our buddy
Yeah.
Reggie Pennington is having a early summer pop-up at
Yeah,
his
let's do
store
that.
at the D Spot. That is at 17625 West McNichols. That is in Detroit. For us, that's 6 Mile for you Detroit folks.
Yeah.
Come holler at Reg. All of the 9654 Detroit t-shirts are all $20, like this one that you see
Yes,
right here.
indeed.
And if you watch us every week, you'll probably see me or Jason
Yeah,
or both
man.
of us with,
Yeah, we rock
rocking
a lot
something
of
from 9654. So
yeah,
again,
man.
this Sunday, June the 8th, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the D Spot, 17625 West McNichols, 6 Mile.
Yeah, man.
Come holler at G. They're gonna have a live DJ there. If you got a logo you want G to throw on a shirt, he'll do that. And you can also take an early B-Day pick with my man because his birthday coming up on the 11th.
Yeah, that's what's up.
I'll definitely be there. So, we'll have some fun, man.
Yeah,
But
it's super duper high quality stuff, man. Too.
Oh, yeah.
I love his stuff. It's super duper high quality, man. So please, man, go holler at him. Go check him out, man. He's definitely, everybody has one approved.
Yep. And in the store, the website 9654 at Detroit.com.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
All right, man. We appreciate y'all. Until next time. Peace.
Be good, y'all.